What's good, everybody? Welcome back here to another live stream, my friends. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. It's been a few days since we last did our coverage. Honestly, I've been kind of taking a break after all that crazy episode of severe weather I had. You know, breaks are definitely pretty good, but we have a little bit more severe weather today, so I wanted to do an update for you guys on that. Also, we have a little bit more severe weather in the future that we need to look at. But what's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Hope everyone's doing good. So today we have a slight risk, a level 2 threat for severe weather. Today's main concern is going to be across portions of Kentucky, Ohio, portions of West Virginia, a little bit of Maryland, and a little bit of southwestern Pennsylvania there as well. Anyways, what's up, guys? Let's see who we got here today. We have Tabletop, we have Jake, we have Roby, we have Abby. Let's see here. We have Rich, we have Jackson, and of course everybody else who is here just not chatting. Hope you guys are doing good. So yeah, we have a level 2 threat for today. Given the Storm Prediction Center risk that we have today, that gives us a 5% chance for tornadoes. So the greatest tornado potential today is going to be across northeastern Kentucky, extreme south central Ohio, cutting through a lot of central western West Virginia. Most of that biggest tornado threat today is going to be up there in central West Virginia. And then, of course, we have that 2%, which is still a tornado risk that extends in throughout that green here, which is a 2% chance probability here overall. So if you guys are in the dark green, if you're in the brown, you're in the active tornado threat for today. A little bit of tornadic activity is possible. Now, the good news is that we're not expecting any significant tornadoes today, so we're not really expecting those tornadoes to be EF2 or greater, but still need to be weather aware today, of course, and looking out for that tornado potential. Now, hopping over here to the damaging wind threat, we do have ourselves a pretty big 15% risk out there for damaging wind gusts, mostly going to be ranging between 60 to 70 mile per hour winds today within those storms. Remember, these are gusts, what the storms could essentially gust up to or peak at. So a 15% chance of that occurring within a 25-mile radius of your location if you're in the yellow. Now, the brown is a 5% chance out there for the same concern. Wind gusts potentially 60 to 70 miles an hour, just a little bit lower of a probability. Now, lastly, we do have ourselves also a 15% chance for hail. We are talking the potential for hail 1 to 2 inches in diameter here. Once again, across the yellow, 15% chance probability, 5% chance across the brown. So that's kind of your probability base for hail. Once again, the main concern for hail today is going to be throughout, central eastern Kentucky, southern Ohio, most of the state of West Virginia. A lot of central, northern, and western Virginia is in that 15% there as well. So definitely do need you guys to be looking out there for that. So that's today's concern. We'll get more into that here in a few moments. Now, tomorrow, we're looking pretty good. Just a couple of generalized thunderstorm risks here tomorrow. We're not expecting any form of severe weather to really occur tomorrow, so we're doing pretty good. So that would be on Tuesday. Now, hopping into Wednesday, Same thing, not really much going on here for Wednesday. We do have another, generalized thunderstorm risk here across the west and the central plains. But for Wednesday, nothing really big is happening. Now, going into Thursday, we do have another area for potential severe weather. So that's going to be across Iowa, northern Missouri, eastern Nebraska, here in a little bit of northwestern Illinois, in that 15% chance probability here for Thursday. So Thursday, we're going to definitely need to be weather aware out there as well. Going into Friday, we have a pretty long and pretty shallow 15% risk, pretty decent size actually, that goes all the way from north central Texas here. This is going to be for Friday, up in north central Texas, cutting through Oklahoma, through portions of Arkansas, portions of Kansas, cutting straight through Missouri, going into Illinois, a little bit of southern Wisconsin, portions of Indiana, northwest Ohio, and central southern Michigan. We have that 15% chance probability for severe weather. Now, given that this is an extended range outlook, there is no breakdown probabilities for the exact potential for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. So right now we just have a probability based off for just seeing severe weather in general. So anyways, going into Saturday, we got nothing. Sunday, nothing. And Monday of next week, we have nothing going on. So we're pretty good. So just keep it out there for Thursday, Friday, and today. Those are the days that we do need to be weather aware here. Once again, on today's concern, if you guys are just joining us, we have that 5% tornado risk today. Overall, once again, greatest potential between West Virginia and portions of Kentucky, southern Ohio. Then tomorrow, like I mentioned, nothing really going on. So, anyways, let's get into the models. I do want to take a peek at the models with you guys. We need to kind of look and see the timing and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and work our way over here real quickly. Let me go ahead and bring up my future radar for you guys. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and hop y'all over here now. Let's see, Jackson says it's been a while since I saw West Virginia set up. Last time I was going through Missouri, my chase car broke down and had to go. And they had to go, or I thought they had a tour go through Pocahontas County. Gotcha. Well, that sucks, dude. I ain't gonna lie, that's pretty bad. Anyway, so talking timing later today, we do have ourselves, you can kind of see a line of storms developing here. Given the time in the bottom right, you guys can see, we could start to see some of that convection firing here anywhere kind of in the late afternoon, early evening. The latest run of HRRR, which was the, this is the 08. Let's go to the recent, the newest one that came through. Kind of shows, roughly around the same time, anywhere from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern is kind of when storms, could really start to fire off here. Looks like they're going to start potentially around areas like, southeastern Indiana, maybe southwest Ohio, northern Kentucky area. That's kind of where we could start to see some of that convection starting to fire. And then, of course, as we work our way further down into the evening here for right around 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, according to HRRR, you can kind of see almost a line that develops here, like a little squall line of storms that does develop. Now, like we mentioned here, all hazards today is going to be a concern with that greatest tornado potential and everything being there in West Virginia. Of course, the overall tornado potential does, extend into central Kentucky as well. But anyway, so then we work our way further down in time, right around 8 p.m. Eastern. At that point, we're really starting to see a lot of storms flare up at this point in time later this evening, right around sunset or whatnot. And, we could be seeing some storms as far west as pretty much, western Tennessee here. You can see that line cutting through Kentucky, going into West Virginia, getting ready to go through the Blue Ridge here of Virginia and up into the Appalachians here throughout Pennsylvania and whatnot. So that is that. And, of course, we progress our way further down in time, at this point right around 10 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of those storms become, pretty much multicellular. We are seeing, quite a bit of convection going on across the mid-Atlantic and portions of, the Tennessee-Ohio Valley here. So we're going to have to look out there for that. And then once we approach midnight here, those storms kind of centralize themselves over central Virginia, southern West Virginia, portions of like southeastern Kentucky going, still through like central Tennessee. And then at that point, we should basically see a lot of that start to calm down. Basically the later hours that we get ourselves into, the storm potential does drop quite a bit. Now let's go and hop over to the instability here, because I want to kind of see what the fuel in the atmosphere is going to be like here. So you can kind of see, so here's our instability here. This is our fuel for storms overall. And you can see, as we approach away later this evening, we do have a lot of instability that's going to be available, a good amount of fuel for these storms. But the later we go, you can really see how that fuel starts to deteriorate. And a lot of that storm fuel really starts to kind of, fade out. Which is going to allow for those storms to quickly become, non-severe and then eventually just kind of fade out because, with no instability or no fuel in the atmosphere for storms, you're not going to get any convection or anything like that. It does look like we do have some instability throughout portions of like Texas and Arkansas, but we're not really expecting anything really to go on here. If I grab a little sounding out here, I'm just curious to see. It does look like we have a temperature inversion, a bit of a cap in our lower mid-atmosphere, which is going to kind of prevent convection from occurring. Overall, I mean, given, we do have instability, we do have pretty good amount of moisture, dew point depression isn't super wide. I mean, it's, good enough, I should say. But, that cap's going to kind of prevent those storms from forming. Therefore, we're not really expecting a whole lot of anything out there. Upper level shear is pretty good, but just, the kinematics here could support some storms. But once again, those thermodynamics, that little cap there, that temperature inversion, lower mid-atmosphere could definitely kind of, choke out those storms and prevent them from even occurring, really. So that's kind of why we're not really expecting a whole lot out there overall. What's up, Rife? Hope you're doing good, my friend. Saying, I got family in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Are they getting anything bad next week? So I don't think Wisconsin's in any of the risk here. Let's go and hop our way back over to this here. So, for today, of course, definitely not. There's really nothing going up in Wisconsin today. We do have a little cut of that general thunderstorm risk, but yeah, honestly, Wisconsin not really expecting anything today. Now, Thursday and Friday. Thursday, we have a risk here for Iowa, which is, the southwest of Wisconsin. This does not include Wisconsin, but here for Thursday, we do need to be weather aware across the Midwest, upper Midwest here towards, Iowa, a little bit of northern Missouri, eastern Nebraska, a little bit of, northwestern, kind of west central Illinois here as well. Got a 15% chance. Then Friday here, we do have that 15%. Now, it does look like that we do have, since you said Milwaukee, Milwaukee's actually right there in the edge of that 15% for Friday. So, Rife, we do need, you said your family, right? So your family does need to be weather aware on Friday, as we do have a 15% chance probability for severe weather here on Friday. So we're going to have to look out there for that. Now, actually, what I can do here is I can hop back to the models, and we're gonna kind of pull up the extended range here. I'm kind of curious to see what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and bring up the GFS model here. Let's see what kind of GFS does suggest. So you can kind of see, once we approach our way here into, I'm going to go ahead and disable the radar real quickly. Whoops. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and disable that radar. But yeah, you can see real quickly once we approach our way here for pretty much later Thursday, going into early Friday, you can see that we do build in some instability, across portions of the Midwest and out there towards Wisconsin. And whatnot. So, definitely do need to be weather aware out there. Day 5, I think that's, what is that going to be, Friday? Yeah, today is Monday. Yep, so today, Monday, Friday would be day 5. So, you can definitely see that we do build in a pretty good amount of instability and whatnot overall here for Friday. So, I would definitely have them weather aware for Friday. There is a little 15% risk that does go throughout that region there towards Milwaukee. So that is going to be a concern here. But yeah, once again, you can see a lot of instability. A lot of fuel for potential storm activity does really kind of build into the country. Not just up there in the upper Midwest, but also for areas in like the central southern plains, cutting into the Ohio Valley. Could even see a bit of severe weather activity there. Once again, we really start to build in that instability there. So yeah, definitely will keep a close eye out there for that. And anything really further than this is kind of getting a little bit out of my reach. The models do go very, very far, but, you can only look so far into the models before they become inaccurate. So, this is kind of the far the line I can kind of look at right now. But yeah, so Friday definitely is going to be a day we need to watch. Thursday and Friday as well. And of course, like I mentioned, today's risk as well we need to keep an eye out there for. That's kind of the immediate concern here overall. Southern says they're saying severe storms could return to Texas Easter weekend. Just checking in before I go to work at 11 a.m. Gotcha. Let's see, what day is Easter weekend? Is that this weekend? Because yeah, we are watching the potential for storms on Friday. Like I said, Friday and let's see, or Saturday. That fuel really starts to kind of fade out here now. Here for Saturday, it does look like we still could. I mean, we're getting a little bit far in time here, but it does look like there definitely still could be a bit of instability for storms. It just kind of depends. There's a lot of things that's needed to be in place for storms to initiate, and just looking at fuel is not really the best thing to do. But just generally speaking, it does look like there could be some fuel for storms potentially for Friday and Saturday. So we will see. We'll have to see though. But anyways, yeah, so, we'll have to definitely watch out there for Friday and Saturday. Or, sorry, Thursday and Friday. My bad. Let's see. Rife says, okay, thank you. I'll let them know. Yep, no problem, man. You're welcome. Let's see. Tabletop says, will that yellow risk for later in the week come down to my area? Probably not, because anything further than this, we pretty much die. A lot of our instability kind of pretty much dies out. It doesn't really advance eastward too well. You can just kind of see it's just, once again, anything further than this too, once again, because, looking this far down in time is getting a little iffy. I mean, it's okay to look at this time, but, just generally speaking, the further you look out, the more inaccurate things can get. But yeah, nothing for your area, man. You're good. What's up, Tim? Hope you're doing good, man. But anyways, yeah, so that's that. Now, looking back at today's concern, we're going to hop back to the HRRR here. It's going to become a lot more higher resolution, as you guys are getting ready to see here. That's the glory of the HRRR in the short-range models. But yeah, so we do build in a pretty good amount of instability for later today. You can see a lot of that fuel for storms is, a lot of it's going to be across like Kentucky and whatnot. One thing I do want to look at, though, is our lower-level jet stream. So let's look at our lower-level jet here, kind of see what we're going to be looking at here regarding our jet stream. Lower atmosphere, about 850 millibar height, which is low mid-atmosphere. Honestly, our wind shear is about 35-ish knots. I'm going to go ahead and overlay the radar here, too. It's good to I'm going to have a radar on top of it so we can kind of see where that precipitation could be firing off at. So let me bring up the composite reflectivity here for you guys. We'll go and pull up our future radar here on top of that. There we go. So it does look like our lower level jet here is going to be roughly about maybe 30 to 35 knots out there by like Kentucky later on this evening. Which, given that, I mean, it's a decent lower level wind profile, but our wind direction here is pretty much parallel to the line itself, as you can kind of see here. Now, given our mid-atmospheric winds, so we're going to take this up a notch. So we're looking right around 5,000 feet up with these lower level winds. Now, we're gonna crank that up to about 20,000 feet. With our 500 millibar jet stream here. That's kind of our mid-level jet. And looking at our mid-level jet here, you can see that the wind speeds significantly do increase with altitude. And they also change a bit more to the east. So the wind direction here in the lower atmosphere is kind of going to the east-northeast. The wind direction in the mid-atmosphere is kind of going east. So there is a slight change in that wind direction there overall. But honestly, just given the profile here, I'm going to go ahead and grab a sounding out in this area. Just given the profile here for everything, honestly, tornadic activity doesn't really seem to be much of a big concern. In the lower atmosphere, those turning winds are very important. And looking at our hodograph here, you can see it's relatively linear, relatively straight in the lower portions of the atmosphere. So there's really not much spin going on in our lower atmosphere. We do, however, have some kind of mid-level spin going on, but that's not really going to do a whole lot. So, maybe some mid-level, supercells could occur, but, nothing really super crazy there. But, given that sounding there, it's mostly a linear hodograph. Really wouldn't support much tornadic concern there overall. Now, I do know for, like I said, other areas, further to the northeast, the wind shear does get a bit better for more, activity for tornadic concern. Because like we mentioned here, though, we do have that 5% tornado risk here going across portions of, like, central West Virginia. Now, hopping over here back to, let's go ahead and see here. Hopping our way over here back to the radar. I do want to pull that back up with you guys. So looking back at the radar here, so given our storms that do fire off later on, I'm going to go ahead and grab a sounding here in, kind of south central West Virginia, just to kind of see what is going on here. So, looking at the atmosphere, once again, we have a pretty good amount of instability, pretty good amount of fuel. Storm tops, could be roughly, 12 kilometer-ish, maybe slightly below. So decent top thunderstorms, relatively tall storms. There's really not a whole lot of veering going on here overall. And playing this in motion, you can kind of see, there might be a little bit of spin, the slightest of an arch here, indicating maybe that slight change in wind direction with altitude. Once again, there is going to be tornadic potential out here. And one thing I do want to pull up now is the helicity. So let's go ahead and bring that up here. Overall, let's go ahead and bring up our helicity. And what I'm actually going to do here too is I'm going to have helicity overlaid, but we're also going to add the radar on top of it too. So let's go ahead and bring back our radar here, precip, composite. So we're going to pull that up here. But yeah, you can see, we do have a little bit of helicity coming up here in the southern portions here. Basically looking at that spin, that lower altitude spin, essentially. And values, 200, 300 could definitely support some tornadic activity. Let's go ahead and get that radar overlaid now. So you can really see once those storms start to fire off there. We do have a little bit of helicity, across portions of Kentucky, going into West Virginia. Once again, this definitely could support some tornadoes. But the good news about this is that, these values are relatively on the lower side, which would indicate more of a lower-end tornado concern. So we're not really expecting the big tornadoes, today. We're kind of expecting maybe weaker-end, lower-end tornadic activity, just given our, wind shear profile and whatnot. So, that's definitely a plus. And, the tornadoes that we do get, if we do get tornadoes today, which we are, potentially going to see, would likely not only just remain relatively brief, but they'd also remain likely weak as well. So that is that. Anyways, what's up, Logan? Saying good morning. Beautiful morning in Bristol, Wisconsin this morning, cutting the greens for the first time this season at the golf course I work at. Nice, man. Very, very cool. Hope you're doing good, Logan. TX2 says, I'm in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, PA. Is that actually a town in Pennsylvania? Do I think the threat will mostly be hail and damaging winds? So, let me pull up your area. Is there actually a Pennsylvania? If that's actually a thing. Okay, it depends. Okay, so that's not a town name. TX2, it depends on what parts of Pennsylvania you're in. Because looking over here back at the risk, we do have a little bit of that tornado threat going into Pennsylvania. But yeah, generally speaking, yeah, it's mostly going to be a gusty wind and hail concern for today overall. Let's see here. Rife coming in with a $2 super chat, my friend, saying appreciate your work. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. Big shout out goes to you, Rife. Y'all in chat, please give Rife a big thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. It's very sweet of you. Definitely didn't have to do that. But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, main concern across Pennsylvania is going to be mostly just a little bit of hail, a little bit of gusty wind concerns. Now, within these storms, given the Storm Prediction Center outlook here for this region, we are going to be seeing potential for gusty winds, once again, ranging mostly 60 to 65 miles an hour, could be slightly greater. But mostly within the range of 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts is kind of what we are, going to possibly see in those areas. And then in terms of hail, the range is, since we're not in a hatch risk or anything like that, nothing that crazy, we are still going to see hail, but it's not going to be anything 2 inches or greater. It's going to be between 1 to 2 inches in diameter here. So that is that. Now, the brown areas here represent a 5% chance probability. We'll use Pittsburgh for an example. So this is our hail threat. So within a 25-mile radius around Pittsburgh, there is a 5% chance probability here for hail getting basically anywhere from 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So relatively low threat if you think about it, but it is still there. It is still something we need to look for. It still can't be ruled out. It's possible. And then looking at that wind threat here, pretty much same thing. 5% chance probability here for a little bit of gusty winds. Between 60 to 70 miles an hour overall. So that is that. TX2 says thank you. Yep, no problem. Welcome back, Abby. But anyways, so that's that. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. And then once again, y'all, we definitely do need to be weather aware here for, once again, Thursday, which, this is Thursday's risk here across Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, a little bit of far western Illinois here. And then, of course, going into Friday. Friday is going to be like the next day that we definitely need to kind of be looking close for. Right now, it's a pretty thin 15%, like we mentioned here. I do want to hop back to the models because I do want to take a look a little bit more of that extended range view here. So let's go ahead and hop our way back over here, back to the GFS real quickly. Then we might compare this with Euro too. It's obviously good to compare models. It's never good to just solely focus your heart on one model. It's not really the best thing to do in forecasting. But yeah, we're gonna pull that up here. So let's go ahead and bring up our instability here. Overall, so let me go ahead and bring that up right now. So like we mentioned, as we work our way down in time, we do start to build in, let's see here. We do start to build in, some instability across, the Midwest and, portions out there by the Ohio Valley and whatnot. So we definitely do pick up on that. Here, I'm going to change the color table. I like this one better. So yeah, that's something we'll have to look out for. Now, given the nature of a lot of these storms, with that low being, in this case, likely a bit higher up into the, the northern central plains area, upper Midwest, our wind shear is likely going to be stronger here. Now, I do want to overlay our wind shear just to kind of see what we could be looking like kinematic-wise. So let me pull up our lower level wind shear. Let's go ahead and bring up our 850 millibar wind speeds here. And we'll have these wind barbs in yellow for you guys. That way we can kind of see, you guys can kind of represent our mid-level shear. So looking at it, given the environment here, just as a kind of a quick early look at things, our kinematics could be pretty decent. Lower level jets, 35, 40 knots here for Friday. Seems to be in place. That's pretty good. It's pretty good wind shear. Let me check our mid-level winds now. We're going to overlay those in red. So we'll make those little red barbs. So let's do wind, let's see, your upper air, do 500 millibar wind speeds. We'll do wind barbs. And we'll make those barbs red here. That way you guys can kind of, see what's the difference between the mid and lower level wind shear. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so yeah, our lower level winds are like I said, are the yellow little barbs. Our mid-level winds are the red barbs. Now, looking at just the differences in those wind speeds, I mean, you can kind of tell, mid-level flow is pretty good too. Actually, yeah, towards the Midwest here, it looks like we could have 70, maybe 80 knots of mid-level wind shear. That's pretty high. That's pretty strong winds in our mid-atmosphere. Let me grab a sounding here. Let's just grab a random sounding out there, southwest Missouri. I'm curious to kind of, see what we're looking at here. Just from what it looks like, given that we do have pretty good amount of instability, and, decent wind shear, definitely, yeah. I don't know why that's not grabbing a sounding here. Let's try that again. Let's try a different area here. Maybe it's having a bit of a problem here. Yeah, looks like it doesn't want to grab a sounding right now. Okay. Anyways, but yeah. So, I mean, just given the way it looks here, though, with our lower level wind shear, it's pretty decent, pretty strong kinematics out there. Decent amount of instability there too. So we'll have to definitely look out for this. By the way, guys, if y'all have any zip codes or anything you want me to take a look at, feel free to let me know. Like I said, we're here for you guys, and I'm here for y'all if you need any personal forecasts, or if you're curious if there's going to be any concerns for severe weather in your area or anything like that. So if you guys do want me to take a look at it at a specific location, I can do that for you. And y'all, if you haven't already, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. And once again, I appreciate y'all very much. And sharing this information too could be very important and could definitely help out people a lot. So if you guys could, that would be much appreciated. Anyways, but yeah, let's hop back over here to our to this program. One thing I do want to look at real quickly. So this is, once again, this is Friday's concern. One thing I want to look at real quickly is the hydrological outlook here real quickly. Let me go ahead and bring up our day one outlook. So today we have a little bit of a flooding concern real quickly. I'll get to the, all right, Ponderosa, Rich, I see y'all zip codes. Give me 1 second. So here for today, we do have a level 1 flooding threat for portions of like northeastern North Carolina, central eastern Virginia, portions out there by Maryland, Delaware. So that's for today. A little bit of a flooding concern. Tomorrow, we're looking pretty good. Let's see, day 3, looking pretty good. And extended range day 4 for Thursday, looking good. Friday, yeah. So as of now, we're pretty good on the hydro outlook. I just wanted to pull it up here because I was a little curious here. All right, let's go and get these zip codes, y'all. All right, Ponderosa, got you, my friend. Let's see. You are up here in Alabama. Now, I don't think you're in the risk here anytime soon. I can confirm this by looking at today's risk. Yeah, so you are just south of today's risk for severe weather. That cutoff is, expected to be up there for northern Tennessee. So today you're good. Going into Thursday, we're pretty good. Friday, that risk is still relatively west of you. So as of now, yeah, Ponderosa, we're not expecting any severe weather out there, so you're looking pretty good. Okay, Rich, I got you, my friend. Let's go bring up your area here. You're up here in Missouri. Gotcha. Okay, so you're up here. I believe you're in the risk for Friday, if I'm not mistaken here. Today, we're good. Nothing on the table for today. Thursday, we're good. Friday. Yep, so Friday, you're in that 15% risk for severe weather. So, we were just looking at the models, and, given early signals, and what the models are kind of suggesting this early, it does look like we have a pretty good amount of instability and a pretty good amount of wind shear as well. Quickly, since I already have this up here, you can kind of see out there by your area, we got some pretty good wind shear. I mean, mid-level flow, roughly around 50, 55, 60 knots or so, for the afternoon, evening of the 18th, for Friday. And our lower level wind shear around 40 knots. So, given that, overall, we do have pretty good wind shear, a decent amount of instability. So we're going to have to keep an eye out there for this. Once again, this is still a little early, but we'll definitely have to keep an eye out there for that. But anyway, so yeah, watch out for Friday as we do have a bit of a severe weather concern. Right now, since it's a little early, it's still a little, or since it is still pretty far out, it's still a little early to look at the exact probability for, tornadoes, large hail damaging winds. So, it's a little early for that, but we'll get to that whenever it comes here. What's up, Overbuilt? Cam wants me to take a look at Pawnee, Illinois. Yep, I got you, my friend. Let's go ahead and pull this up here for you. So I think you're going to be in the risk here for, Friday. So first of all, today's risk, we are just west of the risk here. So you're pretty good. So today, nothing. You're good for today. You're good tomorrow. You're good the day after. But going in Thursday, you're pretty good as well. The threat is to the northwest. But for Friday... Yeah, so for Friday, you are in that 15% chance as well as, for severe weather. Given early signals, it looks like we're going to be kind of having a long line of storm potential kind of rolling through the region here for Friday. We'll have to see the exact probabilities and whatnot, but definitely want you to be weather aware on Friday. Severe weather does seem to be quite possible. Storm Prediction Center does have you in the official risk for severe weather concern for Friday. So Cam, definitely keep an eye out there for it, okay? All right, Haley, I got you, my friend. Let's see here what we got going on. So you're up in Missouri. Actually, we just looked out to this area, in which actually, yeah, you are in the risk for Friday overall. So going into Friday, we do have a severe weather concern here. 15% chance probability for severe weather. So, we got to definitely watch out for Friday as a little bit of severe weather will be possible. That's still several days out, of course. We'll keep a close eye on it. We'll continue to update you guys out here. But, given today we're pretty good. Nothing severe weather going on today. Nothing tomorrow. Nothing the day after for Wednesday. Thursday we're good too. That risk is to the north. But for Friday, yeah, we need to look out for Friday. Anyways, let's see. Renita coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Renita. Saying, hi, Andrew. Can you please see if I have anything coming my way? I'm just coming in. I got you, Renita. I don't think you have anything coming your way. So we have the risk for severe weather today that we're watching. We have a slight risk here for the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic areas. So a little bit of severe weather today. That's north of you, though. But honestly, Renita, I think you're good. So for Thursday, we have a risk up here, up in Iowa, Missouri, and Nebraska. And then for Friday, which is going to be kind of the bigger of the days, we have a big risk here of 15% for Friday. But yeah, you're good. Renita, we're not expecting any severe weather in your area anytime soon. So you're looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. All right. Anyways, tabletop. I know where you're at, man. You're good as well. Up here in North Carolina, we're not expecting any severe weather out here anytime soon. Even for today, North Carolina's kind of left out of the risk here overall. Today's risk, like we mentioned, it's going to be for Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, a little bit of Indiana, a little bit of Tennessee. That's kind of where the main threat is. But yeah, you're good. Nothing coming up here in the extended range either. What's up, Banksy? Hope you're doing good. Ponderosa says, thank you. You are very welcome, my friend. Let's see here. Banksy says, I've been enjoying this nice weather. I was able to cut my yard. Nice. That's always a good thing, huh? That's good, though. Rich says, thank you very much. No problem, my friend. I got you. The ghosted woman says, any rain coming for the zip code, please? I got you. Let's see what we got going on here for you. First of all, look at your overall outlook here. Okay, you're up here in Florida. Okay, so I already know we have no severe weather coming up because I'm also in Florida. We're good. It's been pretty dry lately for our area. Let me actually go ahead and hop back to the models. I don't think we have much going on. We do have a little bit of a cold front, a little frontal system that's going to be rolling through soon. So ghosted here, looking back at the models, we're going to pull up our short range model here, high resolution short range models. That way we can kind of look, and we'll bring up the future radar here for you. That way we can kind of see what we got going on. So this is all of our rain and stuff like that. So here for the time, by the way, is in the bottom right. You guys can see here. So you see that's 8 a.m. for today, which is already passed. But anyway, so we work way down in time here. You know, not really much going on. A little bit of showers out in the waters here in the Gulf, but nothing really big. Then you start to notice a bit of a frontal system kind of approaching Florida here. This is going to be kind of rolling in. Could drive some showers, but honestly, no steady rainfall is going to be really expected. Ghosted. Honestly, we may see a couple showers. We may even not. Out there by you, you can kind of see we do have a little bit of shower activity coming through. Grabbing a sounding here, just kind of looking at it. You know, just a little bit of rainfall, nothing really too crazy. You know, given we have a little bit of a temperature inversion, we're not really going to see a whole lot of deep convection going on. But anyways, regardless, though, we do have a pretty good, you know, or I should say pretty low amount of precipitation coming in here. Honestly, things are going to be pretty dry, unfortunately. You know, I'm ready for our Florida rainy season. I'm so ready for it. But yeah, at least over the next couple of days, not really much expected for us. Anyways, what's up, Polly? Good morning to ya. You're welcome, Haley. No problem. You're welcome, Renita. What's up, Rich? Hope you're doing good, my friend. You're welcome, Ghosted. Y'all are very welcome. Glad to help out. But yeah, unfortunately, not really seeing a whole lot coming for Florida anytime soon. Actually, since I'm already on it, let me show you all the humidity here. Looking at our humidity, oh my gosh, that's really bright. Here, let's actually, you know, well, let's keep this. Oh well. Looking at the humidity for Florida later on, you can actually see how Florida's humidity is going to be down in the 20s. It's the way it kind of has been for the last couple of days in Florida. We've been kind of seeing the humidity values super low, super low. You know, here in the 20s and 30s. And actually, there was a bit of fire weather concern because of how, you know, low that's gotten. And you can actually kind of see that frontal system come through here. If I play this in motion, you can kind of see that big push here. Yeah, definitely is going to be bringing even more dry air into the environment, which is just what we need. Just what we need. But anyways, not ready for mosquitoes. I hear that. You know, I totally understand that completely. Those mosquitoes are terrible down here. But you know, I'm ready for the ground to not be super crunchy. I'm ready for some green. Anyways, all right, let's see, Polly. I got you, my friend. Let's see here. Let's go and bring up your zip code overall. So you're up in Texas. Okay, so while currently we don't have any risk for severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center, actually I don't. Let's see. Let me check on Friday. I mean, oh, never mind. Yeah. So Friday, you're right on the edge of that 15% there. You are right on the edge of that severe weather risk. So, yeah, that's what I was going to mention, though, is for Friday, we are still going to have some instability out here for storms. So looking at the models here overall, definitely, you know, in generally speaking, there definitely could be some storm activity here. Pulling up our instability and stuff, let's go ahead and bring up our long-range models. Again, we'll bring back up the GFS here. Working our way down in time, though, you know, as you can kind of see as we approach our way into Friday, you know, we do build a pool of unstable air, you know, across Texas and across the region. You know, we do have that 15% that's just right on the edge of you. You know, given the fuel for storms and whatnot, you know, I definitely do think that there could be some storm activity. So we'll have to look out. Yeah, the soundings aren't really working right now. But yeah, looking at that, you know, there is fuel for storms. You know, there is that potential. We'll have to see. We'll have to definitely see. Yeah, Friday would be the day, though, if we do. But anytime else, you know, not really much going on here. Not much instability really available for storms. But But yeah, once we approach our way into like Friday, yeah, that's whenever we actually start to build in some instability, which could lead to some storm activity out there. So I do miss our afternoon storms. I do as well. Anywhere from 2 to 4 p.m. is typically when we get our storms. Oh man, I do miss that a lot. I ain't gonna lie. Let's see, Overbuilt coming in with a $2 super chat, my friend. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. A big shout out goes to you, Overbuilt. Y'all in chat, please give Overbuilt a big thank you. That's very sweet of you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it very, very much. Anyways, so yeah, we'll just definitely keep a close eye out there for that. We do, like I said, build in a pretty good amount of instability here for Friday across a lot of the country. Once again, this is that kind of fuel for storms. You can kind of see we really start to build in through, portions of the plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. And then, of course, looking over here at the Storm Prediction Center's risk here for Friday, you can actually see that long line that we do have, or that long risk area, I should say, we do have, from north central Texas, going through Oklahoma, through portions of Arkansas, through Kansas, through Missouri, through Illinois, through Indiana, through Ohio, and up into even Wisconsin and Michigan does have a bit of that risk here overall. So, anyways, tired of all that dust. Has it been pretty dusty out there? Let me do something real quickly. I do want to pull up satellite this morning. We can look at the satellite together this morning here. By the way, guys, we have a new satellite up in the sky. So we've been using GOES 16 for the last 9 years to be monitoring the Atlantic and the United States weather from up above. And we have a new satellite. We have GOES 19 now, which has replaced it. So we have a brand new satellite we're going to be using here. Not really much difference, to be honest with you, but just wanted to mention that. I thought it was pretty cool. So looking at the satellite here, let me hop over to Texas real quickly. Has there been a lot of dust? Definitely looks pretty dead out west, especially. Yeah, looking at satellite here, not really much going on here, but it does look pretty dead out west, though. And in Florida, it's actually been pretty dead as well, to be honest with you. Although it doesn't look as dead as West Texas. But also West Texas is kind of usually that way. Anyways, let's see here. Nicholas says, good morning. Anything for West Des Moines, Iowa on Thursday? Good question. So actually, Des Moines, Iowa, we do have a level 2 severe weather threat. So West Des Moines here. The West Des Moines. We do have a 15% chance probability for severe weather on Thursday. So Thursday we do need to be weather aware here. So yeah, keep it out there for Thursday. What I can do for you is we can bring up the models here back to the GFS real quickly. But yeah, looking over here towards Thursday, go ahead and backtrack a little bit. You can kind of see here for the evening, we really build in a pretty good amount of instability or fuel for these storms. You can kind of see, we really do build in a pretty good amount of fuel. So, that definitely could support those storms, pretty good amount of instability. Obviously we're still a couple of days out, so, the resolution of this is pretty low, given we're in the long range still. But, looking at our wind shear and stuff like that too, let's go ahead and bring up our jet stream. So we'll bring up our mid-level jet here first. Decent mid-level flow. I mean, we have, 50 knots in our mid-atmosphere, about 20,000 feet going to the east here. And then we have our lower-level flow here, which is a little bit more to the northeast. So there is a bit of veering going on, as you can kind of tell. Our lower-level winds, though, are actually quite strong. Yeah, so looking at our lower-level wind shear, we have about 50 knots, about 5,000 feet up, going to the northeast. And as we go up into our mid-atmosphere, you can kind of see how that wind direction changes to the east. You know what? That might even be a tornadic concern, just given the kinematics here. Let me check helicity. Let's go and bring up our helicity real quickly for this area. Okay. Yeah, so helicity does seem to be pretty strong. Let me grab a sounding. Once again, GFS soundings haven't been working here. I don't know if Euro would either, which we can try. Generate. Okay, we can't. Oh, yeah, we can't use SKUTs for this model. Okay, cool. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, just given what I'm seeing here, though, just the atmosphere, kinematics are pretty strong. So don't be surprised if there is tornadic activity included. And just given that, once again, looking at the instability we were just looking at here just a few moments ago. I mean, like we mentioned, there's a pretty good amount of instability or fuel for those storms that do kind of build in later on, So, we'll definitely need to be weather aware there once again for Thursday. And we'll keep you updated. We'll keep you guys in the loop of everything, and if anything does change, then we'll let you know. But yeah, definitely be weather aware out there, my friend. Okay. All right, let's see here. TX2 says, "How's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for today?" So Pittsburgh, I believe you guys are pretty much on the lower side of the scale for severe weather. Yep. So you're in the marginal. Let's go and hop you guys back over here. So you're in that level 1 threat for severe weather today. It's a marginal risk here, which, the scale goes from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest risk possible, 1 being the lowest risk. But regardless, like I mentioned, of whatever risk you're in, whatever level, it's still a risk for damaging storm potential. And, it's still also something that we definitely do need to look out there for, generally speaking. So, yeah, be weather aware today. Pittsburgh's just outside of that tornado risk, so we're not expecting any tornadoes to occur out there by the Pittsburgh area today. In terms of damaging wind gusts, though, we do have a 5% chance probability for gusty winds, possibly ranging upwards of 65 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts within the storms, peaking winds. These are not sustained, what they're going to be constant. These are what they could peak to for a couple of seconds. So 5% chance of that, within a 25 mile radius around you, there's a 5% chance probability here of seeing some damaging wind gusts up to that magnitude. Now, also, we do also have a 5% chance here for hail, ranging within mostly 1 to 2 inches in diameter overall. So, look out for a little bit of hail, a little bit of gusty winds, will be possible. The good news, like I mentioned, is that tornado risk is just to your south today. So we're not expecting any tornadic activity to occur for you. So that is that. Okay, let's see here. What's up, James? Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. Mega says, "How is it looking for Northwest Ohio today?" So Northwest Ohio is pretty good. As you can see, we do have a general thunderstorm risk here. So potential out there for a little bit of storm activity, but for speaking today, we're not expecting any severe weather for this area. So the general thunderstorm risk means that we have a potential for some storms. Some thunderstorms will still be possible. So some booms of thunder, a little bit of lightning could be possible, but mostly we're not expecting any severe weather to occur. So that is that. So we're not expecting nothing crazy today. No damaging winds, no significant hail, no tornadic activity is expected for you. But we definitely could get some storms though. And let me bring up the models again real quickly. We'll bring up the HRRR real fast. That way I can kind of show you what we could be in store for. Let me go ahead and remove this layer I have, and we'll go ahead and add up another one here. Bring back up our radar. So for the northwestern side here, looking at the latest run of HRRR, you definitely can see that we do get some showers kind of building into the region here. We definitely could see maybe some booms of thunder included, but a lot of the big stuff, a lot of that heavier stuff is going to be much more to the south of you, as you can kind of see here. Things are going to be relatively, pretty much on the, pretty much just southeast of you, essentially. So, anyways. Let's see here. Lance wants me to take a look at Marmot, West Virginia. Gotcha. So I do know a lot of West Virginia. Actually, the entire state has at least a level 1 threat. Most of the state has a level 2 threat for severe weather. But Lance, I got you, my friend. Let's go ahead and bring you over here to the risk area. Here from the Storm Prediction Center. Now, given your area, yes, you are in that level 2 severe weather threat here overall. So that's a slight risk. So, once again, scale goes from 1 to 5. You're in a level 2. Regardless of what level you're in, you're still in a risk for severe weather. Anyway, so yeah, level 2 threat. Now, that does give you, unfortunately, potential for tornadic activity. So you're actually in a 5% chance probability for tornadoes. So essentially what that means is that within a 25-mile radius around you, there is a 5% chance of a tornado dropping and landing within that radius. So there is going to be potential, 5% chance, relatively low end still. But, that is a possibility. So keep an eye out there for that. If a tornado warning gets issued, just know where to go. And, of course, in terms of damaging winds, we do actually have a 15% chance chance out there for damaging wind gusts here. Now, those winds could gust anywhere from 60 to 70 miles an hour within those storms there, kind of peaking. And then lastly, we do have ourselves a 15% chance for hail here too, which, we are going to be ranging hail size between 1 to 2 inches overall in diameter, which is also a 15% chance. So, same logic here, within a 25-mile radius around you, 15% chance probability for hail, 1 to 2 inches of diameter falling, in that area. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. But yeah, Lance, we do need you to be weather aware today. We do have all hazards on the table, potential for tornadic activity nearby, potential for damaging winds, as well as a potential for hail. So definitely need you to be watching the weather for today, okay? Anyways, hopefully that helps, my friend. And then looking at the back of the radar here, timing for your area, just kind of looking here, it does look like we do start to get a lot of that storm activity rolling through fairly late. This is kind of showing, it rolling into West Virginia roughly around 6 p.m. Eastern time. It could be ranging a little bit later, a little bit earlier. Models aren't perfect, but it should be rolling through your area here pretty much kind of the early evening. I mean, it kind of suggests anywhere from 7, 8 o'clock we could start to get some storm activity, but, take that lightly because models, once again, they're not perfect, but they give us a good idea of what we could expect. But yeah, so we'll definitely look out there for that. And so, once again, just be weather aware. All hazards are on the table. And if you have any further questions, feel free to let me know. Okay? Anyways. Okay. Let's see here. Mega says, cool. Appreciate it, brother. Yep, no problem, man. Can just sit back and watch this one. Yeah, pretty much. I do love a good storm just to sit back and watch. It's pretty nice, huh? Anyways, yeah, no problem, Lance. You're very, very welcome, my friend. But anyways, so yeah, we'll definitely be weather aware today. Those storms, once again, they're going to be firing off here. It looks like stuff's going to start to convect anywhere from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time, so 2 to 4 p.m. Central. So that's kind of roughly when we could start to see a lot of that convection starting. And, once we approach our way into the early evening, late afternoon, you can kind of see that, the models here, like the HRRR that we're looking at right now, kind of does suggest a line of storms rolling through here. So, we'll have to look out for that. Once again, on that line, we got to look out for, winds. We got to look out for tornadic activity and hail as well, overall. Now, one thing I do want to look at real quickly is I do want to pull up the winds here. Let me go ahead and bring up our lower level winds, or wind gusts here. Surface winds, I should say. There's potential of what these winds could be gusting to within within the storms and stuff. It does look like, let me give this here a second to load. Yeah, definitely could have some pretty strong wind gusts, within some of those storms there for sure. Now, obviously, obviously the models, this HRRR, they're not going to be approximate here. This is not exactly how the atmosphere is going to play out. I can almost assure you with that. But, within the storm, we definitely could be seeing really some strong winds nearby. I mean, we're talking mostly for a lot of the areas here, a good 30-mile-an-hour winds or greater. But, yeah, within some of those storms, like I mentioned, we're going to be gusting pretty heavy, possibly upwards of, 60 to 65, maybe at worst case scenario, 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts within those storms. So that is that. Anyways, alrighty. What's up, Beth? Hope you're doing good, my friend. Glad to have you here. Abby says, I heard it's going to be 80 Saturday, temperature-wise. It's supposed to be 90 here today where I'm at. What's up, Joey? Hope you're doing good, my friend. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, so we'll definitely have to look out for those strong winds and all that fun stuff. That is going to be a concern overall. Definitely is going to be quite windy out there. That is for sure. Anyways, folks, but if y'all have any questions, y'all know I'm here for you. If y'all want me to take a look at any areas, once again, if you guys want me to take a look at anything, feel free to let me know. We're here for you guys. I want to help you guys out and help keep you guys weather aware. So if y'all want me to look somewhere, feel free to let me know. 90 in Florida, that sucks. It's not too bad, honestly. I've gotten used to it. A while back, whenever I first moved here, it was pretty rough to adjust, but honestly, no, it's honestly not too bad, to be honest with you. But anyways, what part of Florida I am? I am in Central Florida. I'm here in Polk County, out by Lakeland. 94. Oh, gotcha. That's pretty. 94 is pretty warm though. All right, but anyways, my friends, well, we're getting ready to wrap things up here. Just had to get a quick update out there for you guys. So once again, those storms will be firing off here kind of mid-afternoon-ish, starting kind of across northern Kentucky, potentially southwestern Ohio. So we'll definitely look out there for that regarding severe weather potential. Now, pulling up our satellite view, just looking at things early, we do have a bit of cloud cover across the region here today. So, that's that, which not really super overcast though. I mean, we do have some areas that's of course overcast, but not. There's definitely some spots where the sun can peek through and heat up that surface. So definitely is going to contribute to that. Well, that's weird. Definitely going to contribute to that potential for severe weather later today. But all right, everybody. Well, you guys take care. Thanks for the update. Yep, no problem. No problem. Oh, you know what? I just noticed we were never looking at the radar or satellite. I'm so sorry. Dude, I'm terrible at the scene switching sometimes, I swear. There you go. Yeah, you can see the satellite now. But yeah, there's definitely some places where the sun's peeking through, which is allowing for that surface to be heating up. That's what I was talking about. Let's see here. Anyways, but all right, everybody. Well, last call for any questions you guys might have. If y'all want me to take a look at anything, let me know. Like I mentioned, I'm here for you guys, and I always got you guys' back whenever it comes to this. So we might do coverage later today. I'm not going to promise anything. We'll see how things go today. But I may do some coverage, so keep an eye out there for that. If not, then I might go live again. If I don't do coverage today, I might go live again later this evening for just kind of another general update and stuff like that. So I'm going to shoot for another live stream at some point today, so stay tuned for that. But I'm not going to promise anything as of right now, but all right, everybody. Well, you guys take care. Once again, thank you all so much for joining here. Before I roll off, I want to go ahead and give a big thank you to our donators here. Just as a big thank you, I always enjoy my supporters. I enjoy all of you guys, but, just an extra thanks to our supporters. We have Rife coming in with the super chat. We have Renita and Overbuilt coming in with the support, my friends. Thank you guys so much. Once again, Rife, Renita, and Overbuilt. I appreciate y'all's support today. It's greatly appreciated. You guys help keep us rolling. Y'all help keep those funds up so that we can continue to, buy our programs and everything. You guys really do make this possible. So I just want to give a big thank you to you guys. On your way out, guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. And also consider sharing this channel to your friends, your family, just to help spread the word out there. It'd be greatly appreciated because it could be very, very helpful and potentially life-saving information in some cases here for a lot of you guys. That way you guys know to be weather aware and stuff. But all right, everybody. Well, stream's gonna head off here in approximately 1 minute. So go ahead and say goodbye to your friends, your family, anybody you're hanging out with here in the chat. And all right, everybody. Well, you guys take care. Once again, out there by the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic region. Be weather aware, especially today, as we have all hazards as a concern today. Tornadoes, large hail damaging winds, so remain weather aware. But all right, everybody. Well, you guys take care. Much love to you. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys later on. Peace out, my friends. See you later on.